In the main event, we had Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady. Sean Brady defeats Leon Edwards by 4th round submission. This was complete domination, by far the best win of Sean Brady's career. It was literally one-way traffic. Leon Edwards had no chance at any point in this fight. It was just a very systematic dismantling of Leon Edwards by Sean Brady. He literally picked up right where Belal Muhammad left off. He never allowed Leon to get into the fight or have any airspace. It was beautiful how he gave Leon no respect, got the takedowns, controlled Leon, and every time it just seemed like Sean Brady was just one step ahead of Leon Edwards at every point during all the grappling sequences. It literally was a change of the guard at welterweight. We saw Leon make some questionable decisions in the fight. First off, he never gave Brady a reason to stop being in his face. He also shot a takedown attempt in round 3 after getting controlled the entire round 2, where he didn't land a single strike. Sean Brady came out and executed his game plan flawlessly. We got to see just how strong and technical he is on the ground. I think his ground game is probably the best in the division. Maybe not his wrestling, but when he's on the mat, he's just methodical on the ground. His wrestling is improving, and as he gets better with his entries and his takedowns, he's only going to be more of a problem to deal with. Brady's striking will also get better now that the division knows just how dangerous his grappling is. We saw it several times in the fight, just landing clean shots on Leon, and that's typically just not something you really see. This is something that's becoming more and more common in the UFC. We're starting to see the grapplers really exert themselves again in the UFC, and I guess, it's just one of those things where it changes over time. 1 minute, the strikers seem like they have the advantage, and now the grapplers seem like it's their time. If you think about it, 6 of the 8 current champions are all grapplers. Brady will probably be number 1 or number 2 in the rankings tomorrow. With the welterweight title on the line at UFC 315, he's got some good options. Either he's the next title contender, he could challenge Shavkat Rakhmonov, or lastly, Joaquin Buckley. I think all 3 of those are really good options. Sean Brady, hey, salute, big respect. He definitely put the division on notice big time. Leon Edwards on the other side, he feels like he's in a free fall right now with nowhere to go, really. Shout out to Jax over at Making the Walk. Go over there, give him a sub, tell him I sent you. He suggested a fight for Leon Edwards, and to me, it made perfect sense, so I'm going to throw it out. He suggested we get the Leon Edwards-Jorge Masvidal fight, seeing as though Jorge Masvidal is trying to get back into the UFC. It's a fight both guys would probably be the most interesting fight either guy could get matched up in at the moment. And honestly, it just makes sense. What's up, everybody? Crossover MMA back in here for another video. Make sure to like the video and subscribe for more content. In the co-main event, we had Jan Blachowicz versus Carlos Ulberg. Carlos Ulberg defeats Jan Blachowicz by a unanimous decision, 30-27. This fight was razor close. Some people think Jan Blachowicz was on the wrong side of the decision. I'm one of them. I actually scored round 1 and round 3 for Jan Blachowicz. But on the flip side, this fight was so close that you can't be upset with either way the decision was going. I'll show the striking total so you guys can check it out and see what you think. And let me know what you think and who you thought won this fight down in the comments. Both rounds were very close, and I'm speaking about round 1 and round 3. And significant strike totals were very close. Jan was just mostly walking forward and initiating the action. Both men landed a lot of low kicks, but it looked like Jan's were a bit heavier and were having a bigger impact on Carlos Ulberg. Ulberg was on his bike, as he usually is, using his footwork, circling the octagon. Neither guy really landed anything that rocked or wobbled the other guy. Going into the fight, I didn't think Jan would win a close decision, seeing as though the UFC clearly wants and the new contender Ulberg, as Jan's coming towards the end of his career. If you think about it, it makes more sense. You get a fresh new contender in the top of the division, fresh new matchups, and then on top of it, you got the market in New Zealand. So that's kind of how I was looking at it going into it. It's one of those fights where it could have gone either way, but it just made sense for the UFC to get that decision win for Carlos. This isn't going to be a fight anyone really remembers. It wasn't really a showcase for Carlos Ulberg. I think now Ulberg should get matched up against Yuri Prochazka. Jan Blachowicz on the other side, I think he could fight probably the loser of Jamal Hill and Khalil Roundtree. In the feature fight, we had Gunnar Nelson versus Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland defeats Gunnar Nelson by unanimous decision. Kevin Holland showed up for this fight, and it was really good to see. Holland really needed this win badly as he was 1-4 in his last 5 fights coming in. To me, I think he looks better at 170. That should be the weight class he just stays in. The 9-inch reach advantage in this fight just proved to be too much. It really was the difference of the fight. Nelson had a really tough time of getting inside of the long strikes from Kevin Holland. Then when Nelson did get inside and was able to get Holland on the ground, he wasn't really able to do much. And that's kind of what, most people thought once the fight got to the ground, that Gunnar Nelson would then do his thing and submit Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland showed his BJJ skills are up to the task. This Kevin Holland is the guy that would make a run at 170. Holland dropped Nelson with a huge right straight at the very end of round 1, and he nearly got the finish, and Nelson was just saved by the bell. Nelson landed a takedown in each round, but as I said, he just wasn't able to do much with it. Holland still needs to get better with his takedown defense and keep improving, getting back to his feet. Sometimes he just gets a bit too comfortable on his back and just wants to play the jiu-jitsu game, and you're not going to win fights like that at this level. You got to get back to your feet. The guys right outside of the top 15 at welterweight are pretty impressive. I do think the next fight for Kevin Holland could be Chidi Njoku. He fought last week, and, both guys could be on a similar type timetable, and they could potentially get a quick turnaround and make that fight happen soon. In the next fight, we have Molly McCann versus Alexia Thainara. Alexia Thainara defeats Molly McCann by first-round submission. So in this fight, it was pretty clear. The path to victory was very clear for Thainara. She comes out, gets a takedown 1 minute into the fight, pretty much controlling Molly McCann on the ground, using a little bit of ground and pound to try and soften her up a little bit, get into an advantageous position. Then next thing you know, she ends up in full mount. Molly McCann turtles, gives her back. Thainara gets the rear naked choke, and Molly McCann taps. And this is a good win for Alexia Thainara. It's definitely what she needed to do, and you never know. We might get a new exciting contender in the division. In the next fight, we have Jordan Vucinic versus Chris Duncan. Chris Duncan defeats Jordan Vucinic by second-round submission. This fight was expected to be much more competitive than it turned out to be. Chris Duncan landed a same-side combination in the first round. It was a right body kick into a right cross, and it just dropped Vucinic badly, just rocked him for sure. And this really just set the tone of the fight. At that point, Vucinic was just on his heels, and he never could really get settled and cover into the fight for the rest of the night. Duncan just controlled Vucinic for the rest of that round on the ground. Vucinic then made a bad decision the very next round, shooting a takedown from really far out. Duncan jumps on the guillotine with 1 minute left in the round. It's in deep. He gets the tap. Chris Duncan gets the win after coming in as a good-sized underdog. I think a good matchup for Chris Duncan next would be Terrence McKinney. In the next fight, we had Nathaniel Wood versus Morgan. Nathaniel Wood defeats Morgan Charrier by unanimous decision. Nathaniel Wood just came out and honestly just looked like the faster guy. And it really looked like that was the difference. It kind of looked like Morgan Charrier was just one step behind. He kind of was in quicksand a little bit. Wood was also fighting on the front foot, walking forward, initiating the action. Then Nathaniel Wood dropped Charrier with a big right hand 2 minutes into the fight. And it really set the tone. And at this point, Charrier was just trying to dig himself out of a hole. Nathaniel Wood's just a very scrappy guy. He brings a fight every time, comes to scrap. And like I said earlier, the speed difference really showed itself, and it was very noticeable early in the fight. Nathaniel Wood basically could land whatever he wanted on Charrier, and it's just pretty much just sums up the fight. Charrier was much more aggressive in round 2 and landed some really good shots. He landed a couple really good elbows in that round, got very good reactions out of Nathaniel Wood, but it just wasn't enough to give him the round. Then round 3 was a really good showing again for Nathaniel Wood and pretty much just cruised to a decision win. I really think Nathaniel Wood should get a ranked guy in his next fight. The division has a lot of turnover, currently has no sitting champion. Ilya Topuria and Max Holloway have left the division. I think a good matchup for him would be Calvin Kattar, as he's ranked number 15. I think Nathaniel Wood definitely needs a ranked guy. Now we've come to the prelim highlights. In the next fight, we had Shauna Banyan versus Pooja Tomar. Shauna Banyan defeats Pooja Tomar by second round submission. This fight was literally Pooja Tomar looking like the faster fighter in the first round. Bannon was just spamming side kicks over and over from range, and Tomar was having some tough time getting past that and getting to Bannon, but she would land some combinations and land some kicks of her own. Tomar was also using a lot of side kicks, and as I said, was definitely more busy with the hands than Bannon was. Bannon pretty much was just on the pressure, just right up in Tomar's face, keeping her up against the side of the octagon. Tomar landed a few head kicks as well. And overall, it just looked like she was the faster striker. It's just the reach difference and the range just seemed like it was a big issue. Tomar landed a clean head kick, dropping Bannon badly. Tomar swarmed her with some ground and pound, and Bannon managed to survive. And then next thing you know, Bannon just ties up Tomar in her guard. And then literally like a few seconds later, Bannon swivels her hips, goes for an armbar. Tomar manages to get out. And then next thing you know, it's like she just puts her arm back in the armbar for whatever reason. And then Shauna Banyan goes belly down with the armbar and Tomar taps and Shauna Banyan gets the win. If you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it. Be on the lookout for my UFC Mexico City breakdown and prediction video. Questions, comments, feedback is always welcome. And as always, until next time.